God, he's grown another 20 inches. Fine to see you.
How are you, Mr. Antolini? How's Mrs. Antolini?
We're both just Denny. Let's have that coat. Lillian, how's that coffee coming?
It's all ready. Is that Holden? Hello, Holden.
How's Mrs. Antolini?
Sit down, Holden. Excuse the appearance of my place. We've both been entertaining some buffalo friends of Mrs. Antolini's. Some buffaloes, as a matter of fact.
Don't look at me when I got in there. I just got out of bed.
What did she say?
She said not to look at her when she comes in. She just arose from the sack. Have a cigarette. Are you smoking now?
Thanks. Just once in a while. I'm a moderate smoker.
I'll bet you are. So, you and Pinsy are no longer one. What's the trouble? How did you do in English? I'll show you the door in short order if you flunked English. You little ace composition writer.
Oh, I passed English all right. It was mostly literature, though. I only wrote 2 compositions the whole term. I flunked oral expression, though. They had this course you had to take, oral expression. That I flunked.
Why?
Oh, I don't know. It's this course where each boy in class has to get up in class and make a speech, spontaneously. If the boy digresses at all, you're supposed to yell digression at him as fast as you can. It's just about drove me crazy. I got an F.
Why?
Oh, I don't know. The digression business got on my nerves. I don't know. The trouble with me is I like it when somebody digresses. It's more interesting.
You don't care to have somebody stick to the point when he tells you something.
Oh, sure. I like somebody to stick to the point and all, but I don't like them to stick too much to the point. I don't know. I guess I don't like it when somebody sticks to the point all the time. The boys that got the best market and oral expression stuck to the point all the time. I admit it. But there was this one boy, Richard Kinsella. He didn't stick to the point too much, and they were always yelling digression at him. It was terrible. Because in the first place, he was a very nervous guy. I mean, he was real nervous. And his lips were always shaking whenever it was time to make a speech. And you could hardly hear him if you were sitting way in the back of the room. His lips would sort of shaking a little bit, though. I liked his speeches better than anybody else's. He practically flunked the course, though, too. He got a D+ because they kept yelling digression at him all the time. For instance, he made a speech about his father buying a farm in Vermont. They kept yelling digression at him the whole time he was making it. And this teacher, Mr. Vincent, even gave him an F on it because he hadn't told what kind of animals and vegetables and stuff grew on the farm. His teacher, Mr. Vincent, he was amazing. Richard Kinsella, he'd start telling you all about this letter his mother got from his uncle, and how his uncle got polio and all when he was 2 years old, and how he wouldn't let anybody see him in the hospital because he didn't want to see anybody with a brace on. It didn't have much to do with the farm, I admit it, but it was nice. It's kind of nice to have that tangent to the conversation. It's nice when someone tells you about their uncle, especially when they started out telling you about their father's farm. Then all of a sudden, they get more interested in their uncle. I mean, it's dirty to keep yelling digression when he's all nice and excited. I don't know. It's really hard to explain.
Holden, one short, faintly stuffy, pedagogical question. Don't you think that there's a time and place for everything? Don't you think that if someone starts out to tell you about his father's farm, he should stick to his guns, then get around to telling you about his uncle's brace? Or, if his uncle's brace is such a practical subject, shouldn't he have selected it in the first place as his subject, not the farm?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess he should. I mean, I guess he should have picked his uncle as a subject instead of the farm, if that interested him most, I guess. But what I mean is, lots of time you don't know what interests you most until you start talking about something that doesn't interest you most. I mean, you can't help it sometimes. What I think is, you're supposed to leave somebody alone if he's at least being interested and he's getting all excited about something. I like it when someone gets excited about something. It's nice. You just didn't know this teacher, Mr. Vincent. He could drive you crazy sometimes, even like that in class. I mean, he'd keep telling you to unify, simplify all the time. Some things you just can't do that to. I mean, you can't hardly ever simplify and unify something just because someone wants you to. You didn't know this guy, Mr. Vincent. I mean, he was very intelligent and all, but you could tell he didn't have too much brains. He was a real piece of work.
Coffee breaks finally. Holden, don't even peek at me. I'm a mess.
Hello, Mrs. Ann.
I'll just leave this right here. You dive in, you two. How's your mother, Holden?
She's fine. I haven't seen her too recently, but the last I...
Darling, if Holden needs anything, everything's in the linen closet on the top shelf. I'm going to bed. I'm exhausted. Can you boys make up the couch by yourself?
We'll take care of everything. Run along to bed.
Bye, boys.
Had lunch with your dad a couple weeks ago. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you were aware, of course. And he's terribly concerned about you.
I know he is.
Apparently, before he phoned me, he just had a long, rather harrowing letter from your last headmaster to the effect that you were making absolutely no effort at all. Cutting classes, coming unprepared to all your classes in general, being all around.
I didn't cut any classes. You weren't allowed to cut any. There were a couple of them that I didn't attend once in a while, like that oral expression I told you about. But I didn't cut any.
Frankly, I don't know what the hell to say to you, Holden.
I know that. I'm very hard to talk to. I realize that.
I have a feeling that you're writing for some trouble, terrible fall. But I don't honestly know what kind. Are you listening to me?
Yes, sir.
Maybe the kind where, at the age of 30, you sit down at some bar, hating everyone who comes in, looking as if he might have played football in college. Then again, you might have picked up just enough education to hate people who say it's a secret between he and I. Or you may end in some business office throwing paper clips in the nearest stenographer. I just don't know. But do you know what I'm driving at all?
Yeah, sure. But you're wrong about the hating business. I mean, hating football players and all. You really are. I don't hate too many guys. What I may do, I may hate them for a little while. Like this guy Stradlater that I know at Pinsy. And this other boy, Robert Ackley. I hated them once in a while, I admit it. But it doesn't last too long. After a while, if I didn't see them, if they didn't come in the room, or if I didn't see them for a couple of meals, I sort of miss them. I mean, I sort of miss them. Kind of hurt a little bit.
Alright, listen to me a minute now. I'm gonna word this as I'd like to, but I'll write you in this letter about it in a day or two. Then you can get it all straight. But listen now anyway. This fall, I'm thinking of you riding for it. It's a little special kind of fall. A horrible kind. This man's falling isn't permitted to feel or hear himself hit bottom. He just keeps falling and falling. The whole argument's designed for men who, at some point or another in their lives, were looking for something in their own environment couldn't supply them with, or they just thought their own environment couldn't supply them with, so they gave up looking. They gave it up before they ever really started. You following me?
Yes, sir.
Sure?
Yes, sir.
I don't want to scare you, but I can very clearly see you're dying nobly, one way or another, for some highly unworthy cause. If I write something down for you, will you read it carefully and keep it?
Yeah, sure.
Please. enough, this wasn't written by a practicing poet. It was written by a psychoanalyst named William Scattell. He's what he ate hour. You still with me?
Yeah, sure I am.
Here's what he said. The mark of the immature man is that he wants to die nobly for a cause, while the mark of the mature man is that he wants to live humbly for one.
Thank you.
I think that one of these days, you're going to have to find out what you want to do. And then, you've got to start going there. But immediately, you can't afford to lose a minute. Not you. And I hate to tell you, but I think once you have a fair idea where you want to go, your first move will be to apply yourself in school. You have to. You're a student. Whether you like it or not, you're in love with knowledge. And I think you'll find, once you've passed all the Mr. Vinzel's or whatever, and this oral comp,
Mr. Vincent.
whatever. Alright, Mr. Vinzen's. Once you get past all the Mr. Vinzen's, you're gonna you'll start getting closer and closer. That is, if you want to. And if you look for it and wait for it to kind of information that will be very, very dear to your heart. Among other things, you'll find that you're not the first person who was ever confused and frightened and even sickened by human behavior. You're by no means alone on this score. You'll be excited and stimulated to know many, many men have been just as troubled morally and spiritually as you are right now. Happily, some of them keep records of their troubles. You'll learn from them if you want to. Just as someday, if you have something to offer, someone will learn something from you. It's a beautiful reciprocal argument, and it is an education. I'm not trying to tell you that only educated and scholarly men are able to contribute something valuable to the world. It's not so. But I do say that educated and scholarly men, if they're brilliant and creative to begin with, which unfortunately is rarely to the cast tend, to leave infinitely more valuable records behind them than men who do merely brilliant and creative. They tend to express themselves more clearly, and they usually have a passion for following their thoughts through the end. And most importantly, 9 times out of 10, they have more humility than the unscholarly thinker. Do you follow me at all?
Yes, sir.
Something else, and I can make education will do for you. If you go along with any considerable distance, it'll begin to give you an idea that what size mind you have, what'll fit and maybe what it won't. After a while, you'll have an idea what kind of thoughts your particular size mind should be wearing. For one thing, it may save you an extraordinary amount of time trying on ideas that don't suit you, aren't becoming you. You begin to know your true measurements and dress your mind accordingly. Come on. I'll fix the couch up for you.